Hello, and welcome back to 100% Real with Ruby. So today I have on one of my most transformative clients that I've had her on before, but this time she's in a different state, kind of sort of pursuing a completely different career, but still the same career. It's just she's making it her own, adding a little fleek to it, and pretty much making herself stand out from the crowd, which is so different than the Amy she used to be. So before she came to me, she was in a place where the only thing that defined her was pretty much her food, her training, and her body, and probably the scales as well. But we all know that as soon as you sign up, I'm like, fuck the scales. I don't give a shit about the number. Some people still weigh themselves, and I find out once they come to me and then say that they weigh themselves, and it's either a celebration or a "what is it up today?" when it's usually just a little blimp of time, which the scales never stay the same. But to the point of this podcast, when Amy signed up with me, it was all just nutrition, and it took a while for me to reel her into the Ruby world of training, which she admits completely changed her life. So you'll hear her story on where she started, but I want to give you a little bit of a scoop into the way that I saw it. She was so adamant in her way of training. Nothing else could beat the heart pumping palpitations of doing these weird circuits, weird whatever the hell, throwing this up and down. It really had no purpose. It was just more of, it's kind of like CrossFit where it's just like the competition of the fittest. It doesn't really have a purpose except who's the fittest kind of thing. But when she signed up with me, it was very more structured. It was, let's get you strong. And it did take her quite a while to actually learn what it meant to push herself, which is something that a lot of girls don't really know how to do. They think they do until you get thrown a challenge where one of your training programs was meant to end at week 8, and Ruby saying, just one more week, one more week, one more week, before you know it, it's week 12. And every single one of those weeks, I was saying it was the last week. Push it your hardest. And every single one of those weeks, Amy's like, I just did more weight. I think I can do more. Right? Another week, last week. And we went all the way from the 8-week program to a 12-week program. And she blew her mind with how much weight she could be lifting. And she realized how much she was holding herself back. And it was from that point forward that everything changed for her. She started pushing herself more, putting herself into more uncomfortable situations. And something I do see a lot, which I'm hoping you can touch on, Amy, because I know that some people probably within the team as well, they don't think that what they're doing is enough. They think that it's something where you need to have your heart pumping all the time, or you get bored of a particular program. So it's like, I'll just do 2 days of this program, and then I'll do something from the gym, and then I'll join this group workout. And they don't realize that there is always method to the madness, and it, like, true transformation comes from the basics done over time. And I think I spoke enough. I'm going to let Amy take away her insight into how she started out with her mindset around food, because she will pretty much admit that it was how she defined herself, and then how she started to let that go and what the turning point was, and how her identity shifted from pretty much not even knowing who she was to now owning herself, and pretty much how this whole world of making health and fitness your number one priority doesn't mean that it takes over your life. It means that it is your priority because it enhances all the other aspects of your life. It isn't your life.
Yeah, so true. Thanks for having me. Yes, I definitely came from a place where my food and training was my life. Like, it literally ruled everything I did. And I think I more so saw my food as the one contributor to how I looked. And I think I was raised with my mum telling me that you had to stay skinny and you had to exercise and you had to watch what you eat and don't overeat. And so I had for a long time this kind of ingrained thing where food was it. What diet are we on? That's what we'd talk about since I was like 16, trying different things all the time. And I just carried that with me into my 20s and into my 30s. And it, it was that bad at one point, like, that I remember it was my nephew's, I think, 3rd birthday, and there was cake, and I wouldn't let myself eat it because I didn't want to eat the cake. So I stood in the house by myself while everyone had birthday cake, and I think I ate something gross like chicken and vegetables cold or whatever. I was like so obsessed with it, and it ruled my life in such an, like, I'm just going to say, an awful way. Like, it really wasn't, when I think about it now, I wasn't healthy in that space, but I would have told you I was. But I took things to the extreme, and it wasn't good. Like, it wasn't good for my well-being. It wasn't good for my headspace. It wasn't good for my relationships. And when I first stepped on with Ruby to do nutrition, it was because it just was taking over everything and I couldn't handle it. But I was so obsessed with it. Like, I didn't want to let it go either. So I almost tried to, like, control what Ruby was telling me to do to some extent, because I felt like it had to stay the same, but which is kind of silly because you have to change things to get change. And so slowly over time, we worked on changing the foods that I was eating or what that looked like, being a bit more flexible, being a bit more kind to myself, I think, was a huge part of it, having a bit more compassion and not like really like attacking myself in my headspace if I ate off plan, or if I went out for a meal, or if I didn't hit my macros that day, whatever, just being a bit more flexible. And what that helped me realize was that food isn't the only thing that contributes to what you look like, surprisingly. It's so much to do with you, how you think and how you feel and how you sleep and your stress and the people you're with and just how you're thinking about those things. And so when I brought in Ruby's training as well, which is so funny when I think about it now, because it took me such a long time to kind of just trust the process and to just almost like surrender that part of my life. And like, I had to do the work for it, but to not control it, and just let it run its course without overthinking it, and almost, well, I guess stop obsessing about it, like just put it to the side, and then eating because it makes me feel good, or it's part of connection with my family, or because I like it. And then exercising for the same reason, not thinking, oh my God, am I going to be skinny? Am I going to be fat? Like, removing all of that and getting rid of that and focusing on how I feel. And that, when I shifted that thinking from both what I eat and how I train, everything changed, because I stopped obsessing over it. I just started asking myself, how do I feel? Am I sleeping? What is my stress like? Am I able to let things go? Am I enjoying my training? Am I being kinder to myself when it comes to food, and like not eating just to make sure I stay skinny, but eating to nourish myself. So really paying attention to that. And that was a big shift from, I think, what I'd done for the past 20 years or so. And it was hard, like, it was hard at the start, but we got there. And then now I will say, when life just throws crazy shit my way, which happens sometimes, I'm far more able to manage it, because I'm not worried so much about making sure that I 110% do my training and my macros in a way that's almost like, it was almost like a chore. Now I know I have to do it because it makes me feel good. So it's not a chore or a task or something I'm ticking off. It's actually part of who I am. And if I don't do it, I don't feel good. But I also don't, if I'm traveling or something and I can't get to the gym, I don't think the whole world's going to end. I just go for a walk, or I do something different, or I think, well, this is the time to be in nature. So it's really about, I think for me, this whole journey has been about figuring out what I can and can't control, and letting some things go, and knowing that it's more about how I think about it and how I feel. Is that it?
Yeah, that you touched on some pretty important things there too, because it's not just the nutrition stuff that you held a rein on. And this is what we were talking about before we got on the recording. And that's people still try to hold control over what they were doing before. They're afraid to let go of who they were because it served them in some way, which is why they kept doing it. Because for us to repeat a pattern that we obviously can see isn't working for us because we're stuck in the same place that we've been stuck in for years, still not happy with our body, still repeating the same cycles, which I see over and over again. And we know we need a change, but we won't because it's serving us in some way. It's comfortable and people don't want to face discomfort. They don't want to do hard things. And no matter how many times I can repeat the same shit over and over again, which I did with Amy, every single time she asked me and asked herself, why am I seeing these results or why am I getting it? It's like the rhetorical questions, me saying, do you see why this is the way it is now? Yeah, okay, but this. And it's like she would ask questions about nutrition and her training. And I wouldn't even answer those because I only answer what I know I need to answer, or I only pick out parts of questions or feedback that I need to pick part of. Like, yes, I read everything. You could write me a 3-page essay. I will read it, but I will only reply to things that I know I need to reply to and take notes of the other things. And it is hard for a lot of people to accept that. But that's the big rocks that you need to focus on. And if you focus on everything, you get nothing. And until you are willing to let go of all of that, which she started to, like, someone could easily just say, nah, fuck that. I'm going to go to another coach. He's willing to do this in friggin' 6 weeks. And like, you could lose your life, do it in 6 weeks. And then I don't know whether you saw the post of one of the girls that came back to me. She came back, she's 50. She came back for a second stint with me after going with another coach who was willing to put it, well, she didn't really want to go through the bodybuilding route with me straight away. It was after a while she fell down the route of being so obsessed with her body. She went to another coach. The coach didn't give a shit. She, like, being the hormonal person she was and not taking into account her personality, went down that route. About three years later, she's now back with me. She came to me with so much shit, like so much shit that it was like she went to leave me again. And I kept her on. And now she's a completely different person only 1 month later because she dived all in and she realized this is where I'm meant to be. I need to let go. And her libido is coming back. All this stuff is coming back. And she realized that that kind of quick fix stuff, the aesthetics, like that does nothing. Like, it's just doing it for a plastic trophy. And if you want to put your health at risk, your mental health at risk, I heard it again said on a podcast the other day, and it was true for me too. When you get yourself to such a lean level, unsustainably lean level, it is hard to fathom. It is hard to accept any gain in body fat. Because it was for me too. I look back at photos of after comp and I used to think I was fat, like actually getting fat back then. Oh my God. I literally thought, oh my God, I'm getting too fat. Oh my God, I'm putting on way too much weight. I'm not lean anymore. And I remember people saying, you're freaking lean. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm fat now. But I was so lean. Like, I had striations, but you are so warped up in your head up to that lean level. And it fucks with people. And that's why I will not condone putting people into that stuff unless they've been with me for a while. And yeah, I have 2 girls with me that compete, but they've been with me for years. They know the process. And one of them, I didn't even push her until the last 8 weeks. Yeah, okay, it was her first comp. She didn't get super, super lean, but I just did it knowing that, hey, if you want to do this again, we can do it to the next level next time. But you're going to realize that you're going to have to give up on so much shit. I didn't even push her that hard. And she realized that she hated the process, but she was willing to go through it because she loved being on stage. And yeah, okay, if you're willing to give up all these different things to get to that level, and if you're willing to then invest in actually putting on the body fat that you need to put back on after without freaking out and then going haywire, yeah, okay. But yeah, back to what we were saying with what Amy said, you need to be willing to let that part go of you to enable to move forward. Because I did the same thing too. I admit that I did it too. And it's not without, like, if I didn't have these conversations with others, I would have forgot that I used to do the same things. But I would add in HIIT sessions. I would add in random cardio sessions extra. I would add in little Tabatas because I felt like I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't sweating enough. I would add in extra sets, extra reps. I would chuck in an extra exercise because I didn't feel like I worked my back enough. This was years ago. And I looked like shit. Well, I didn't look like shit, but I looked the same year after year. It wasn't until 2 years ago when I signed up with a mentor. It cost me a fortune because the monthly price was absurd. but it was what I needed to change. And I'm still learning from them every single month, because not just the body, it's everything else. It's learning that you can't just put your ego onto a bar. It's not just about lifting the weights. And you said the same yourself. What is this bloody tempo? Like, tempo, who wants to hold something? Yeah. Who wants to hold something for 5 seconds? Who wants to go really slow on eccentrics? But it's letting that ego go and putting the work into the technique and all that changes your body. And if you're not going to let go of the need for entertainment from changing your program week to week, the need for sweating and heart rate, I'm so excited to talk about your new phase later on as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different story. You earned that. Like, she earned her way to where she is now, where she can be more flexible. Back then, she didn't earn that right. She didn't earn the right to be able to play around with her foods. She had a meal plan to stick to, pretty much, that she had to stick to. And then we moved into macros, because then we could allow her to use those macros. And then we allowed her. Now she's been with me for years now. It's like, now I trust you enough, and you know yourself that you trust yourself enough. She tracks meticulously Monday to Friday. I've given her the option, if she wants to take it on any weekend, she doesn't have to track on the weekends, because we know now she eats pretty much the same. The only thing that she has are food rules for the weekend, and not your stupid little no carbs and fruits are bad food rules, but you need to make sure that you have at least 7 serves of veg. We want over 600 grams of veg in a day, all the colors. We want to make protein the star of every meal. There's education in Team Ruby Group. There's so much education in the group to teach all of this stuff. And once you've earned your way there, you don't have to track meticulously all the time, but tracking is what keeps you on track. And then it allows you the flexibility when you want it. I track every day. But when I'm away, I just guess. I don't really care, because I know that it's pretty much the same. And when I'm really busy, it's like, yeah, okay, I can pretty much just have the same foods. I don't need to track it because I'm eating the same shit. And you earn your way there. But back to everything, I could repeat things as much as I wanted to, but it just didn't stick with her until she realized that she needs to change. And that's the thing. That's the magic. You used to worry about, when am I going to send you photos? What am I going to do about the photos? Have I changed? What's your feedback on my photos? I'm like, I will give you feedback if I need you to. Now it's like we had to change to just taking gym photos, because it was that obsession over her body, and it was that changed the game. So I'm going to let you take it from there to how this all ruled your world, and it left little space for you to actually thrive out there, worrying about career and the stuff that actually adds to your life, to now where you are, and things that have led up to right before you moved. We'll talk about up to that moving.
Well, I think when you were talking, one thing that was kind of sticking out was that, like, it's not just trying to control what you eat and how you train either. It's like your routine and the structure. Like, I think that everyone needs some kind of routine and structure to be successful in whatever that looks like, or results. Like, you've got to know when you're going to train and stuff like that, or it doesn't happen. But I was even so like rigid in what that looked like. Like, I came from a place where I trained, when I think about it now, I'm kind of like, that's nuts. I don't know why I did that. But like, I would try and go for as long as possible without having a rest day, like 40 days or something crazy. Like, that would be it. And then I would only have a day off if I had something on. And I would train twice a day. Like, I would do cardio in the morning and weights in the evening, or something in the morning and a class in the afternoon. Like, it did just rule my life. And I think I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. Like, I can't do it. I'm not enjoying my life. And I realized that that's not how I wanted to live. Like, and I guess in lots of different ways and levels and things that were happening. And so slowly I was able to not let go of training, obviously, because I still train, and do track my macros, but more let go of the outcome. Like, not be so attached to, oh, what's going to happen when I deadlift today, or what's going to happen when I get on the scales. Like, I have weighed myself once in the last 4 months, maybe. And I don't even know what that was. And like, I did it. My partner was weighing himself, and he weighs himself every day. And I was like, I'll just wear myself because he's got the scales out. They're not even in my bathroom anymore. They're like not in the ensuite, they're in the other bathroom. I just don't even look at them. Not even a thing. Photos, I used to want to get my check-in photos all the time because I wanted to know I was making progress, but that doesn't happen week to week. It's like,
I love that. Yeah, like she nailed that bit. I'm gonna get her to mention it, that part again, and really hone in on this part, because that's the thing. Like, yes, you need to track your macros. Yes, you need to make sure you get to the gym. I want you to really dig into why structure is so important. I don't know whether you saw my last status on Facebook, but I had an epiphany after just thinking about a couple of clients in our group. I'm like, you need to have structure. If you don't have structure and you don't stick to that structure for more than just 4 weeks, like, you need structure for a while. You need to progress with that structure. Like, without structure, you're gonna frigging go KFC if there's nothing left over. You're gonna grab the kids' food. You're gonna grab the office snacks. You need to have structure. But the biggest thing you said that I want you to talk about structure with this, she has this structure. She tracks her macros. She shows up to the gym regardless of whether she feels like it or not. If she actually knows that her body can't do it, she reaches out to me. We come up with a plan and we go from there, because she got her COVID jabs. We realized that it was going to be unfeasible. So we decided, okay, let's take a few days off. We know that you're going to have a new training plan coming up soon. So why don't we take half the week off? Then you can decide whether you want to go back on Friday or whether you want to go back on Saturday. Smash the new program from day dot after you've had some days off. But the biggest thing, all of this is the process. You can't get any outcome. You can't expect results without nailing the process. You don't worry about PRing whatever the scale says or PRing whatever the bar says. PR the process day after day, and you will get any outcome you desire.
I think it's about knowing your non-negotiables and what you really want. And if you're saying you want to train or you want to hit your macros or whatever, they're not just going to happen by chance. And I love that quote, that's something like, you own the day or the day owns you. Like, you've got to own each day. And that means thinking through how you're going to spend your time, what you're going to focus on, and how you want to feel, and what you need to do to be able to feel like that. And not every day has to be high intensity. You can also have days where you're like, actually, I'm going to be calm and grounded more today and have a rest day and chill. Or maybe you like to operate Monday to Friday in a similar routine because it's easier, I think, because we all work and that's kind of what happens. But I think structure is one thing, and you've got to have a structure first, because once you have structure and you've done that 4, 6, 8 weeks, whatever, it becomes a habit. And then you're not even actually consciously thinking it through. And the difference is when you're first starting to try and implement a new structure, whether it's training every day or whether it's building, whether it's macros or whether it's going to bed on time, like, that takes a lot of effort and energy, because it's like learning how to write or learning a language. You're learning something new. Your brain is connecting new neural pathways. So it's a new skill. So it's going to take more energy and it's going to feel hard and it's going to feel uncomfortable. But once you've nailed that strategy and it almost becomes automated and you don't have to think about it so much, it becomes a habit, and then it's effortless. So you're not thinking, oh my God, I have to train, and when am I going to do it, and what does my day look like, or I've got to eat this many grams of protein, and how do I do that, and how much chicken breast is this? Like, you learn all of those things. They then become natural, and you're not thinking about them as much, so they're not as energy depleting. It's that when that transition happens, that's where the magic is, because you go from it being you got to consciously think through all of the things. And then once it moves from a strategy into a habit, and you're not having to really think about it in kind of an exhausting way, because you just know it, that's when you start to relax into it. And I think that's when we talk about the process really coming to fruition, because it becomes part of who you are. And it's just something that you do naturally. You're like, oh yeah, I train it 6:30 every morning, and this is when I eat, and this is kind of what I eat. Or of an evening, this is my nighttime routine, and I know I need this much sleep, and I know I'm better in the morning, so I need to wake at this time. Or I know on Sundays I like to do nothing because it's kind of helps me complete my week. Like, they're all little things that you learn about yourself as you go through the initial process and the strategy. And when you learn to stop obsessing about how much you're eating or how much you weigh, you start to really learn who you are. And that's the difference between, I think, training just to get a result and training to be the person you want to be. So that's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. In training to be the person that you want to be, I wrote this in another post as well. It's amazing. It's amazing how once you become more one with yourself, you start to actually echo the voice of your coach, which is amazing. Everything she said, it's something I've said before, regardless of whether she's actually seen it, forgotten about it, or seen it or not seen it. But there are two different types of focuses. There's the outcome focus, or there's the actual process, the change, the becoming focus. And the outcome focus is worrying about how much weight you put on a bar and if you beat it and all this other crap. But if you're focusing on the process and actually going through it, you're focusing on how things feel and how you feel from the process. And in getting that feedback, you're reinforcing why something is so important to you, because you're not going to do something that continuously makes you feel like shit. You want to do things that make you feel good. Now, you said process comes to fruition. It's not by luck and it's not by chance. It's by repeating the same things over and over again. And I want you to repeat this part, but I just want to bring in the science of the brain. The brain runs off glucose, and your brain uses the most energy out of your whole body. It is the most energy expensive thing. This is why I reckon keto diets are stupid. Yes, your brain may be able to function off these magic ketones, but that's no. Your brain needs glucose to function. It uses a lot of energy. And when you're trying to learn new things, your brain is struggling to process that and put it into its actual pathways. You need to think about the whole what fires together, wires together. So if you're continuing to do this process, but it's not the right process, you're going to reinforce a bad habit. It's just like when I used to squat freaking 110 kilos 4 years ago, and it was literally not even to parallel. It was a quarter squat. And I was scared to let that go to learn how to properly squat, because then I can't say that I squatted 110 kilos anymore. But it's like, yeah, but did you really squat 110 kilos? No, because as soon as I learned how to squat properly, I couldn't even do 10 reps with just an Olympic bar, a 20-kilo Olympic bar. It took me months to actually build up to just a decent 60-kilo squat, not a 12-week program. It was building it up through reps, relearning that patterning again. Now, bring it back, this whole thing that everybody listening to this needs to hear. It is not something that you can just develop overnight. Now, what would you say to people that are used to giving into their excuses because they're not used to being someone that trains weights? Because there are so many people that are not used to weight training, and we know the plentiful benefits of weight training and how much it actually improves not only your body composition, but it helps you live longer. It actually is anti-aging. The hormonal effects, the everything effects, like it actually makes you more insulin sensitive. People that could not eat carbs before can start eating carbs from weight training. It does so much for you. But people that have never done it before, they're going to make all the excuses. They might find walking easy, but how do you create this new patterning?
I think you've got to really want it. Like, you've actually really got to make a decision to do it and not opt into something half-heartedly and then run down same old excuses. And I would challenge that if you're making excuses for lifting weights, you're probably making excuses in other areas of your life too, because that's what we do. We're just patterns, right? The thing about weightlifting is it doesn't have the same pretty image on social media as cardio does. It gets a bad rap. It's not very Instagrammable, and we'd much rather buy into those cardio programs where everyone's jumping and running and sweating. And so, I mean, I'm saying we, and I'm generalizing, but I would think that there's many of us like me who bought into this belief that if we're not sweating and our heart rate isn't up, we're not exercising, or we're not working hard enough, or we're not going to lose weight. And all of that's just rubbish. Like, it's not true. So if you're someone who is on borderline thinking they want to start weight training, or you've got a program but you're not committed to it, if you really want change, you have to get in there and give it a go. And it's going to be hard, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it might feel like it's not doing anything, and you probably feel like you won't be doing it right. And yes, you'll be sore and all of those things. And it's not as easy as just going for a run. It's not as easy as doing some kind of cardio class or getting on a spin bike. You got to think about it. Like, sometimes I'm tired from doing a weightlifting session because I had to count my tempo so much rather than just, like, do a spin class. It's like it's different. But like, I won't go into the benefits that Ruby's just shared, and I'm sure you could do a whole podcast on that. You probably have. It's those things that everyone wants, but they think they're going to get it through some kind of like cardio hit thing, and they're not there. That's not where they are. So if you're sitting on the fence going, I want to change, and I'm being told weightlifting is the way to do it, but I'm just not sure it's for me. It is. Like, sometimes we just got to do things that feel uncomfortable. Get good people around you. Definitely.
Your environment is the most important thing ever. And we're going to touch into that now when we move into a move. But I want to bring back that focus. Yeah, I actually have I think it goes into 3 parts, a 3-part series coming up soon on why it's so important to lift weights. I worked on that for the Instagram because I do think it's really important for people to realize that it's more than just changing your body. It's more than just building muscle. Like, lifting weights is the most the highest rate of investment thing that you can do. And alongside getting your aerobic level up to an adequate level, because if you have poor blood pressure, poor blood lipids when you go get your blood tests, then you're not going to be in a place where your body can change. Because if you don't have a healthy body, it ain't going to be releasing a single ounce of fat. If you're not sleeping properly, if you're stressed out, you're not going to be releasing any fat whatsoever. And it wasn't until Amy let that go that her body started to change, because she was stressed out. She was so hyper focused on her weight, on her pictures, on food. Her body didn't change at all until she let that go. At all. Like, that is how powerful this stuff is. Now, back to failure. Amy failed many times, we all do, and it was all feedback. And using the health and fitness is the foundation. Without that, you have nothing kind of mentality. The thing is, think of a foundation. What holds up a foundation? It's the pillars. The pillars are pretty much your sleep, your stress management, your mindset, and your environment. Now, she felt held back. And if it wasn't for her making this shift mentally to make health and fitness not all her life, but a part of her life, she wouldn't be where she is now. And that's exactly what we're going to touch on, because in our last episode, we spoke about how much structure and discipline has set her free. And it's because we had that. I really recommend listening to the last one, because that covers how we got to where we are now. We just talked a little bit more of her beginnings to start with, because this is what led to our last episode. But the last episode has led to where she is now. And that's realizing her environment is that powerful. She moved state to a different place. She realized, well, actually, no, she was going to go back to something that she was used to doing. But because she's in such a higher fostering environment, she decided to go out on her own. She has all these different deals coming up for her. She has such a bright future because she continues to put herself first. She has a nutrition base there. She has the strength training there that shows her she can do anything, because she puts herself through discomfort. Yes, okay, deadlifts are probably the hardest things you can manage, but once she gets those, she's going to feel even more badass. Like, there are different levels of hard in all different areas. And every single time you conquer one, you prove to yourself you can do hard things. And that brings us to now. So from where we left off last time, in having this structure, in reorganizing your work life, what has that led to this amazing outlook for you? And maybe you can actually give some teaching tips to anyone listening to this that needs that inspiration to go get it, in terms of, you need structure. You need to make your base so solid that you can build the biggest mansion on top.
Yeah, I think, like, you've really got to know what you need to be well. Like, you've got to, like, we talk about exercise or movement, whatever that looks like for you. Water, drink it. Get your veggies into you. Sleep, and know your stress signals. So know what stresses you. One thing I've really been working on, so as Ruby mentioned, my partner and I moved our life to Brisbane, and in the middle of that, my work role was made redundant, and I wasn't expecting that, and it was just a whole thing. And I said, at that time, I said to Ruby, I really can't focus on training and nutrition right now, because we're living out of Airbnbs and hotels, and it was like a whole mess, and I didn't have anything. We didn't have a fridge at one point. We were living out of an esky. So I was like, the best thing for me right now is to control my stress. It was a highly stressful period of time, about a month, I reckon. And so I said, I'm just going to guess. Like I know enough to be able to guess, but what I'm going to make sure I do is that I'm moving, I'm drinking my water, I'm getting my veggies and my protein in, and I'm sleeping well, and I'm doing things to help me stress less. That was like a whole mindfulness practice in itself. But it's those
something. I'm going to give her extra kudos. She actually did manage to get herself into some gyms along the way. Because here I am opening up True Coach, seeing Amy has checked off a workout. What the heck are you? How are you doing a workout? Like, she made workouts her priority when she had a chance to get into a gym. Like, she knew how good it made her feel, so she did it.
Yeah, and I think that's because it's just a habit now. Like, I don't do things for the result anymore. I do things for how they make me feel, or I don't do things for how they might make me feel. So all of my decision-making process now is like, is this good for me? Is this going to help me reduce stress? If it's going to cause me stress, I pretty much don't do it, or I figure out how to not do it or do it quick if I have to. And I think part of that, like some things you can't control, like doing taxes, stressful and annoying, but you have to do them. So just do it. Like, that's kind of where I'm at now. So I think, like when we moved, as Ruby said, I'm a teacher, and I was going to go back to teaching full time and just take the easy option. And it's so, I think we can so very easily deny ourselves the opportunity to take on what life throws at us. And when we get into these situations, we have to really ask ourselves, like, is it really what we want? And are you going to be okay with that decision? Because I mean, we're responsible for all of the decisions we make, whether we like the outcome or not. It ultimately sits with us. And so I really had to take a moment to say, how do I want to feel, and who do I want to be, and what do I want my day to look like? And a part of that is not going back to work. A part of that is doing my own thing, taking a bit of a risk. But I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have the foundation of knowing that I feel good and I have energy and I can look after myself. And that's because I've built those habits and I have that system and strategy behind what I do. And it's not like when we were moving and moving house and stuff, I was like, oh, well, we'll just eat takeout every night. You know, I consciously went, what are the best options available for me right now? I pretty much lived off Woolies barbecue chook and those pre-made salad bags, but like, that's what I had. And that's, you know, one of the best options I could get with and tins of tuna and whatever, that was it. But it wasn't like, oh, well, I can't do anything, so I'll just go and get Macca's. It always has to come back to what is going to make me feel good. And I know what those foods are. I know how much sleep I need. I know that I need to meditate every day. I know that I need to get outside and like be in nature or just sunshine. I know that I need to, an hour before bed every night, watch crap TV and just like let my brain switch off. You've got to get really good at knowing what works for you and what doesn't. And if it doesn't work, be brave enough to let it go. Be brave enough to put boundaries around it and say, that's not for me anymore. You know, alcohol is one of the things that I've let go of a lot. I grew up in a culture and a family where that people drank, and now I'm like, I don't know, that's not for me. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't want to do that. So sometimes it's about really just owning your decisions for you, not for anyone else. And I think that's one of the hardest things to overcome, and be in a position where you can back yourself, where you can build your own mansion, metaphorically, as Ruby said, whatever that looks like for you. But if you don't sleep, if you don't move, if you don't drink your water or eat your vegetables, I mean, it does sound like we're talking to kids, but you got to self-parent sometimes. Like, if you don't do those things, nothing works. Like, your brain doesn't work properly, scientifically doesn't work properly if you're not doing those things. And that's why you don't get anywhere.
I'm going to touch on that later, but I'm going to read out one of your comments from a year ago. I'm loving the workouts also, but it's strange. I love that they're simple, but I'm not there for hours. I know they're working. Like, she was used to being in the gym for hours, and this is hours. she let the gym control her life so much that she didn't have time to build her life. Like people, it's something you see all the time. Like look around you, look on social media, people complaining about their body. Like people think tracking macros is obsessive. It's not fucking obsessive. You worrying about carbs, you worrying about your body 24/7, you worrying about not having control over your food, you worrying about your emotional eating, your overeating, your weekend eating, the fact you can't control yourself between dinner and bread time is obsessive. You tracking your macros is furthest from obsessive. It is freeing. It's
totally freeing.
It's your perception on tracking macros. It's your perception on sticking to a meal plan. If you're going to see the meal plan as restrictive, then yeah, it is going to be restrictive. If you're going to see a meal plan as taking away and depriving you from your favorite foods, then that's your fault for not putting your favorite foods as part of it, because there's no such thing as an 80-20 meal plan or 80-20 macros. It's 100% all the time, but 100% doesn't mean perfect. It means eating your favorite foods. I'm 100% on everything that I need to do, but guess what? If I want to eat cereal, that's part of my 100%, because it's not like, depending on where you want to have your results, there's a different level of flexibility. And something that we came up with, I think it's over a year ago now, with Amy, is her quote was, live less out of habit and more out of intent, because nothing she did was intent. Nothing had intent. Now everything she does has intent, and that's allowed the flexibility, and it's allowed her to now have her own business and start expanding, start being her own person. And now she's going to be preaching to the masses exactly what I preach to my clients, because she is going to change the world of teaching. Because it's not just us as mothers, as people wanting to change their bodies, that neglect ourselves and our mindset, but teachers do the same thing, because being a teacher is a hard thing to do. Being a mother is a hard thing to do. Being a coach is a hard thing to do, because you're looking after other people. We always forget to look after ourselves. And it's like, I used to ask Amy all the time, what are your hobbies? And there's a photo here which reminded me of it, which was her weaving board. She has like this project of a weaving board. Like, you need to have things away from lifting and away from food that makes you the person you are. Otherwise, you're going to lose sense of all of that. And if you're going to be adding in an extra day of training when your program says 5 days, or your program says 3 days, or your program says 4 days, ask yourself why. Ask yourself why you are not sticking to the program you have, and why you're adding in more than you need to, because it makes no logistical sense. And it just clicked that from focusing on outcomes so much, like I say never look at your heart rate when you're training, because it's not indicative of how many calories you're burning. But in getting Amy to track her heart rate while she was training, she made sure that she wasn't resting as much between sets. She used that heart rate as a measure to push herself, not as a measure of I'm burning this many calories. So we focused away from the outcome by getting her to get a heart strap so we could track the heart rate, which was her effort in the gym. And let's relate this back to life. You need to stop focusing on just that end goal, on I want to look this way, I want to get this much on the scales, because why do you want to look that way? You want to be more confident, you want to be in control of your life. You don't want to make your whole life about what you can eat and what you can't eat, because where is the life there? How many times do we take the easier option just because it saves us the work? Like, completely transparent, I was so settled with the way that I was doing things for so long with my coaching business. It took me up until COVID last year to finally get an app for my team, and it's transformed my coaching, having this app. And now back in COVID again, having no life, because I feel like I haven't seen the light, even though my whole room is light. But I've made sacrifices where I'm just going to stay stuck working on what I need to work on. It's uncomfortable, it's hard, it's a lot of work. It means sacrificing my precious time. Like, I do about 4 exercises for legs now versus what I used to do. I do like half sessions if I have to, but that's because my priority isn't changing my body. It's maintaining what I have as best as I can, because I know that structure sets me free, and I'm a structured person. I do what I said I'm going to do, and I know that now. Whereas before, I'd be scared that I'd stick to my word because I never used to. That was what I taught. That was my identity. But now I'm someone that always sticks to what I say. I know that Once I have a plan and I'm back in the gym and I'm focusing on changing my body again, my body's going to blow up the way that I want it to. But now it's just doing what I can. And if it means 4 sessions, if it means half sessions, my business is going to come out so much greater from that. And looking at what Amy's doing, we are completely changing the way we train because she wants something that's going to get her heart rate up, that's going to actually just take away the focus from the slow pace building of her business. Now it's giving that contrast.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, different things serve you at different times. And my girls know I have a toolbox of many tools. I can help you with this, I can help you with that, I can help you with whatever it is, but I'm not going to throw you the toolbox. I want to know what tool for what time. Like this spanner that she's using now, I've always had that spanner, but she didn't need that spanner before. She might have wanted it, but she didn't need it, so she didn't get it. Or she could have needed it, but she wasn't ready for it, kind of thing. It's like you need to know what is ready, like what is meant for you at the right time. And that all comes from building that foundation, back to what you said.
Yeah, and I think like when I said that to you, I didn't say, oh, I want to change my program because I'm not happy with anything. I was like, oh, I've just got energy and like I'm not getting it out anywhere. And like I feel like I need something different just to be, yeah, I think I was like you said, why do you want to do it and how you're feeling? Not okay, let's do it. It was I had to kind of justify and say, like, I love lifting weights, but I'm kind of walking in there going, oh, I'm just really not feeling it. And I want to do something that is a bit faster, that gets me moving a bit more. Like I've got quite a bit of energy at the moment. Now I've settled and I think life is a bit more normal, but I'm doing a lot of, like, my work is quite slow paced at the moment. I'm studying, which is slow. I'm building a business, which is slow. And so everything else outside of my training requires me to kind of be still and organized and really focused. And if I can train differently, my head is thinking differently. And so it's about knowing what the different areas of your life give you and trying to balance it all.
Do you actually remember the conversation we had? Because I find it really funny.
Well, what did I say?
Okay, so she came to me. She was starting to say how she actually said she doesn't feel like training. She's not motivated to do it.
Yeah.
Saying that I don't know if I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I just asked her why. How is it that you're feeling? Like I literally asked the questions I always ask, which is back to the feeling. And because I'm going through something different, it's not the same. But because I'm such an empath and I have like a third eye, so to speak, I'm like, you don't need to tell me anything else anymore. I just wanted to know that one answer. You can stop talking now. I'm onto it. And then before you knew it, there's a message from Amy. Oh my God, I have a new program. Can I start it tomorrow? I thought we were starting on Saturday, but if you want to start tomorrow, go for it. And now she's loving it. Like this is the value of knowing yourself so much that you can actually communicate how you're feeling and where you are right now. And the more detailed you are, the better. And most people don't put detail. People just identify with this umbrella stress or umbrella term. They don't go into that detail. And it's hard for me as a coach. It's hard for mums when it's their kids. And it's hard for anyone to understand each other if they don't really communicate their feelings. And now look at you go, you're loving the workouts. It's not something forever. Like people think that once you're in a phase, it's permanent. No, you're never in a phase permanently. Like if things need to change, they need to change. Like there's a basic structure that you go through, but if things need to change, they're going to freaking change. But I think to wrap all of this up, I want to bring in a little bit more of your amazing expertise in being a leader for all teachers and maybe relating everything that you preach to the teachers, to the mums out there, to the people wanting to change their lives, to the people stuck in, like, pretty much everyone goes through the same struggles as teachers. It's dressed in a different way. So this is your space. I'll give you all the time that you want to sum this up doing what you do best and stuff that you now can see clearer because you have that clarity.
Yeah, and like it's same. So I do work a lot with teachers like in the past, and that's what I'm moving into. And just like, I think people that are in these high stress environments, about really helping them, people who are like, oh my God, I'm just so tired of like trying to figure out what well-being is for me. So my background is in like well-being and positive psych as well as education, which is sometimes I have to remind myself, like, so even though sometimes I know this stuff, I will reach out to Ruby for like a bit of a check, because we get so caught up in what we're doing that, or I do get so caught up in like literally being in it, I can't see it. And so sometimes I need a reminder. But it's like, I think a lot of the work I do and what I've realized is that we're so focused on the doing piece. Like, I have to exercise and I have to sweat and I have to meditate and I have to do yoga and I have to be busy all the time and I have to make sure everyone's happy, and that we're not attuned enough to actually asking ourselves how we want to feel. We don't even stop to think about that, or we don't think we're worthy of that, or we don't think we're enough to be able to actually consider that. And what I'm really kind of moving towards is helping people move away from this doing piece and just saying, how do you want to be and how do you want to feel? And so when we're making decisions, whether it's around training or food or self-care or well-being or whatever it might be, it's not about getting some kind of printout of Pinterest and trying to get bingo or doing one activity every day for a month. It's actually about saying, you know, how do I want to feel? Do I want to have more energy? Do I want to feel grounded? Do I want to feel connected? Do I want to have better friendships? Do I want to know I'm taking care of myself more? And think about what feeling sits behind that. So then you can start to match activities, if you like, or self-care or rituals or systems to that. So it's about saying, you know, I want to feel this way, not what you want to do. Because when we're so stuck in a space of like just doing an activity, we can easily get bored or think it's not working, because it's not what we should be doing. We're actually missing a feeling. And so it's learning how to reconnect with that, or connect with it in the first place, because I don't think we're actually taught that. And then aligning that to your values and your strengths. So being really clear about what your values are and what that looks like in terms of actions and behaviors. And then what are you good at? Like, what energizes you? So when I talk about strengths from a positive psych space, it's not what you're good at. It's actually about what energizes you and makes you feel good. And so how do we align our behaviors to that? And also learning to say no and set really clear boundaries about what's important to you, and say no without feeling guilty. So that's it. Like that, I mean, that sounds like a lot, and it is. It's like, as you heard Ruby and I say, I've been working with Ruby on this for a while, and I've been doing my own kind of journey like for years, right? 5-6 years. It's continuous work, and it does take a long time, but you don't kind of realize how much growth you've had until some kind of hurdle or obstacle comes away, or until something happens and you're like, oh, wow, look at what's happened over the last 6 months. They're the moments that are really key and what really matter. And they surprise you when they happen. And I think that's the beautiful piece of whatever self-development journey you're on, whether it's around mindset or fitness or training or whatever that might look like. So that's it. That's me. Yeah, it's the wellness strategy is what I've set up. My website's being built, but you can find me on all socials. So just follow along and we'll see what happens.
I actually can't wait until you share all of that, because I'm going to tell you in a conversation as well. I want you to put this into a little mini clip. I'll write it to you in a messenger, but it's so true. We don't know how to say no. We don't slow down. We don't spend time with ourselves, which is when people run away to the gym and they identify with the gym, and instead of sitting with their feelings, they just want to do all the time. And
all the time.
Yeah.
And I think like we fall into the trap of thinking it has to be meditation, or it has to be some kind of cardio workout, or we have to all go keto, or we have to have smoothies, or we have to have a to-do list and like a really organized pantry. I mean, what the fuck? Who said that they are the things that bring people happiness? Like, I mean, if they do, like, I love organizing my pantry. It's kind of a de-stressing tool, but it's not for everyone. And so then people force themselves to do that, and that makes it even worse. Mightn't be your strategy. That's okay.
Thank you for mentioning that, because it's true. It's like, no, it's true. People, I used to think the same thing, because I thought that it had to be meditation. And I used to yell at my then coach, who told me that I needed to meditate. It had to be meditating. If I wasn't meditating, then I'm doing it wrong. But no, it's not. You need to know what works for you. And I could never do this without a mentor. Like, I'm the most okay with where I am that I've ever been. Like, it's like, I know that I'm sacrificing some things, but I'm okay with that, because I know how to manage all this stuff. And I'm actually so freaking excited. It's like, I could be stressed, but I could never be not excited and not positive, because my whole mindset, the work that I've done through my years to get me to where I am now, all this work, like I can't imagine being in a place that isn't positive. Like no matter how stressed I could be, I could not be any further from positive, because I'm always future thinking. I know that if I need to make a change, I need to change something. And sometimes you may not be able to say no as often sometimes, and that's okay. But you need to realize that there's a time and season for everything. Sometimes you need to sacrifice parts of you, but as long as you know it's not permanent and you are going to start putting yourself first again. And I'm going to get you to touch on this in the group as well, because I want you to talk about all the little things that you make sure that you include in your day to take a step away. And I think that's where we'll end it.
Yeah. So what do I do each day? Is that what you're asking me?
Every single time we have our check-in, you always mention things that a single other in the group mentions. Meditation, yoga, all this self, always a priority.
Ruby's always like, what are your 3 non-negotiables? Mine are never about, or sometimes they're about veggies if I've been traveling or doing something and haven't had veggies. Like they kind of are repeat offenders, but not weekly. Honestly, my weekly goals are always things like meditate every day, write in my journal, practice my gratitude, be with nature, drink. That's it. Like other things like food or training or water, they just happen now. I don't really make them a goal. I mean, my meditation and my journaling stuff does happen pretty much every day. I just finished a 40-day sadhana. So I just did the same meditation every day for 40 days before 6 a.m. And I've just had today off. Today's the first day in like 50 days I haven't meditated in the morning. And I really only didn't meditate because I had to clean out my kitty litter because it was raining. So it's like, sometimes life happens. And there was a moment where I went, oh my God, I haven't done my meditation. And now I've got to choose between walking outside along the beach or meditating. And I thought, you know what, I will just walk because I can do a meditative walk. That's what I did. But that's like, they're the things when Ruby says, what are you working on? It's pretty much that. Like it's all self-care stuff. Sometimes it might be like switching off or processing a thought or working on some new beliefs. It's really all mindset stuff all the time.
I love it. So I think that's a great place to leave this. I can't wait until she has a website up, but I'm sure she's going to be posting up some really awesome videos as well, because from someone that hated being on camera to someone who's so willing to just show that face and be authentically herself, she's come so far. And this is something that every single person has within them. It's untapped potential that is hidden as a fear of failure. It's hidden as a fear of stepping out and doing things that are different and actually getting into that discomfort zone to embrace your real you. And I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for me going through my own stuff. And now I'm in a place where I can help others get to where we are today and where Amy's yet to travel. And it's just exciting watching her grow. And I can't wait to see where she gets to. It's going to be the most amazing thing ever. And I also cannot wait until we're back deadlifting as well, because that is like, honestly, the thing is, once you realize that everything you do requires the learning process and you take the focus off the outcome and you realize, okay, I need to actually put in the work. Okay, maybe I'm not seeing the results straight away, but I'm going to see the results eventually. And it is going to take time. Like I know that in learning something, I'm not going to be giving 100%. So I'm not going to be seeing results from this, but that's the thing. The thing isn't about the results. There are other things that make up the results. It's not just that session. Like the session is a brick in the whole mansion that she's building. And because her mansion is now so big, that brick, it fades in comparison. And that's the beauty of having that big foundation, of having strong pillars. The bigger your house, the smaller that brick is in comparison. And I can't believe I just came up with this amazing metaphor, but it's so true. And thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yeah.